Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. And I'm being a bit distracted because we have a lot of hoverflies in the garden. Actually every week there's just more and more little creatures. I love it. Definitely a telltale sign that summer is just around the corner. Well, this week there's a lot going on. I'm going to do a garden food harvest. I went on a little bit of a late night online shopping spree, which is probably not a great idea, but I bought quite a few edible plants. We'll take a look at them. Plus I did a really colourful cut flower harvest, put together 4 beautiful big bunches of bouquets to sell today, Friday, at the local garden centre here in my area. If any of you are new to my channel, I've just recently started a small business called Bren's Blooms, where I am following a passion of mine, growing cut flowers to sell. As well as them, I have a few other nice things to show you, so why don't you just sit back, relax for a few minutes and let's get into it now. I just had to start off this week's vlog over here where I've got the long rows of cut flowers, because I think you are going to really enjoy taking a look at these huge poppies. They are a variety called peony salmon. There's a very nice row of them over here. Now I do have a few scattered around the garden, but in this area is where most of them are, and they look really pretty flowering in mass. Now I'm not growing these to sell as cut flowers because they don't last very long in a vase. The petals, I find, tend to drop off after about a day. Like you can see here, this one is looking pretty old and they just fall to the ground. Like, look, you don't really have to do much to get them off. But let me show you why I am growing these poppies. Kind of pull these off and it reveals this really pretty seed pod. This one's a little bit on the smaller side, but usually they're roughly around this size, and what I'll do with them is I will dry them and use these in cut flower arrangements as, I guess, a type of structural element, and then I can also save them up and use them in dried flower arrangements too. Drying these out is very simple. All I'm going to do is leave these plants here until the seed pods turn brown. And it'll be at this stage when you'll notice there'll be little holes appearing on the top, and that is where you'll be able to just turn them upside down and shake out the seeds, so you'll have a nice big supply to grow them again next year. Here they are from a different angle, and this is my favourite view of the garden at the moment. So much colour. You've got in the background over there lots of nasturtiums. You have the ivory princess calendula, lots of snapdragons, and right here beside me are lots of cornflowers, one of 2 patches I have here in the garden. I went on a bit of an online shopping spree this week for chilli plants and bought quite a few. I have tried to start chilies from seed this spring, but I haven't been very successful. A lot of them didn't germinate on me, and if they did, the seedlings died off after they reached about 1 inch in height. Probably because I didn't give them enough attention. I was just so focused on growing the flowers, and now I'm in a bit of a pickle because I don't have many chilies, so that's why I bought a few, and I probably went a little bit overboard. But let's take a look at them now. It goes without saying that this is not sponsored. I just really like this company. They are from Queensland and they've got a great selection of plants. Lots of natives, salvias, chilies, herbal plants, cottage garden style, and you know, their packaging is really eco-friendly too. They wrap everything up in just some newspaper, and you can see here there's lots more there in the back. I waited until I was making this video to open them up so we can take a look together. First up is a firecracker chili, And you've got 3 little baby plants in there, so I'll be able to separate them and pot them on. Omicolour Ajai Chilli, I hope I'm saying that right. Aji lemon. I really need to get these out of their packaging and, you know, dunk them in water. Actually, that was the other thing that I wanted to show you here. They give you this like care guide, how to look after them as soon as they arrive. Now these actually arrived, was it yesterday or the day before, which is my bad. I should have opened them up at that stage and followed these steps, but I was just waiting to show you, and I know they'll be fine anyway. I think I ordered them on Monday and they arrived, was it on Wednesday? So that's pretty fast. There's your standard chili habanero orange. Again, it looks like there is, there's 2 seeds or plants in there, seedlings. Keep on going. A serrano chili, chili bell lantern. There is, will I be able to pronounce it? Ricotta chilies. Tabasco, long red. You know you're getting near summer when you just see bugs absolutely everywhere. I don't know what that one is. Hopefully it's a good one. I've got no idea. I'm thinking that I will probably grow these in pots this summer because I do not have much room at all in the garden, like in ground or in raised beds. And chilies typically grow quite well in pots, just as long as I use good quality potting mix and put them in a decent sized container. Hopefully in about 2 or 3 months I'll be harvesting lots of fruit from that plant haul. And speaking of homegrown food, a few days ago I did a garden harvest. Let's take a look at it now. Garden harvest time. Let's start off with some broccoli. We're going to eat every part of this plant except for this section, obviously. We've got the leaves, the head, and what I think is the most delicious part, this stem. I've got a couple of lemons. Oh, I'll drop that one there because they're too heavy to hold in one hand. Whoppers, aren't they? This is the really bumpy one that I showed you growing a few weeks ago. It's time for this entire peppermint silver beet to come out. Ah, got it. I'm thinking of making some spinach and ricotta cannelloni with this. I'm going to have to grab the cart because this is way too much food to put into a tiny basket. Look at this. It's celery. I might have to put the camera down for a second. Oh, that was not easy getting out. Look at the size of it. It had this huge root system. Oh, I'm exhausted now. This lot is going to keep me busy today. I've shown you those 2 lemons before over the last few weeks, and I have mentioned that once I harvest the bumpy one, I'll cut it open and show you what it looks like. On the inside, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I kind of thought perhaps there was some kind of bug that laid its eggs in there. Was it going to be disgusting? Was it going to be lava or maggots inside? Well, I can reveal that here it is. There's nothing. There's no insects, nothing in there, no damage whatsoever. But it doesn't really look like a normal lemon, does it? There's not a lot of pulp and the rind or peel is quite thick. This is usually a sign of a nutrient imbalance, probably too much nitrogen and a deficiency in phosphorus. So I need to make sure that I go and amend the soil underneath the lemon tree before the fruit that are currently grown on it reaches maturity. I want to make sure that I have some really nice juicy lemons for next season. Here are all of the cut flowers that I harvested from my garden this morning. So tonight, after the kids go to bed, I'll be making 4 big bunches of bouquets with all of these. There's a few first pickings in here, starting off with these gorgeous straw flowers. These all came from the beds in the front garden, where I have a patch of yellow, oranges and purples. There was one purple flower, but I left it there. And actually it was really difficult to pick these because I love straw flowers and I don't really want to put them into the bouquets to sell because I want to keep them for myself. But it's business first. I harvested these two lily stems. Not quite sure what colour they'll be. I have a feeling they're either going to be orange or yellow, and that's because it's growing near another one. I'll show you now. Here it is. It's from the same area where I picked these two, so I'm thinking it will probably be orange. I may this week just make a really colourful arrangement so that no matter what colour these are, they'll fit in. Over here I harvested the very first sunflower this season. This variety is called Radiance, and you know, I'm still learning. I've so much to learn about selling flowers, but as far as I've gathered, when you are selling sunflowers, it's best to pick them just as the petals start to open up like this. That way the customer gets a longer vase life out of this bloom. There's heaps more of the Peruvian lilies. Lots of snapdragons still going, but I have a feeling they're going to slow down pretty soon. The stems are getting a bit shorter. Oh, that's not one there. Here, a bit shorter and not as firm compared to when I first started to harvest from that patch. There's more baby's breath. A lot of the stems on the baby's breath are quite short too. I don't know if I'm going to be able to work with them, we'll see. But there are a couple of long ones, so it's better than nothing. Some Dusty Miller for foliage. Speaking of foliage or greenery, I have all of this Pittosporum, which I picked from my friend's garden. So I have this lovely lime green colour, and then over here it's like a variegated, there we go, variegated kind of silvery foliage, would you say? So I'm thinking I'll use some of this along with the Dusty Miller to make a more like pastel bouquet. Here's the Verbena bonariensis. Oh, and I also grabbed a couple of these stems from my friend's garden. This is an Australian native grevillea. I have done a bit of research on how these go as a cut flower, and from what I gather, they last up to around 6 days before these parts, I'll put the name up on the screen, I can't remember, they start to fall off. So I'm of two minds. I'm not sure if I'm going to use these. We'll see. And then over here have a little bit of the cornflowers. This is some calendula and only a couple of stems of this valerium. I nearly forgot. So I had some of this apricot status, which I started harvesting last week. Great for fresh flowers as well as dry flowers. But I did the first picking of this status, which is a beautiful white one called Iceberg. First pickings this week from that patch. So I'm pretty pleased with the combination of blooms that I have here. I think I'll be able to make some really lovely colourful bouquets. I may end up picking the odd flower here or there, the ones that I know won't wilt, like maybe some more of the status. I forgot to show you this one. It's a dill flower. I got it from the front beds. Actually, there's quite a few dill flowers there now, but I just picked one for this week because I still have a lot of the parsley flowers, which look quite similar, and I want to make use of the parsley flowers before I start chopping into these big bad boys. Here are the 4 bunches that I've put together. Love the sunflower. Do you notice how it's even opened up a bit more since I showed it to you yesterday? So it's Friday morning here now. I'm just about to drop off these blooms. This one has the lilies, and I lifted the lilies up a bit higher So hopefully in a couple of days, that one's a bit low. I should have probably placed a bit higher up because it will open up quite a lot. Maybe that will draw people's eyes to this bunch. It'll be a little bit more colourful once they open. I like the look of this one too. I tend to do one every week that has kind of more pastel colours, if that's the right way to say. So you have a snapdragon, a couple of snapdragons, the status. Down there is the parsley. I should have probably lifted that up a bit more. I'm still learning. Some of the variegated foliage, the Dusty Miller. Yeah, I'm happy with how that one looks. Hopefully someone will want to buy it. I'm now back from Tarmore Garden Centre and I have this really massive smile on my face. I'm just so happy because for the first time the 4 bunches of flowers have sold. Hopefully now this will become a pattern where I will be able to sell the 4 bunches each week. And you know, we are heading into the summer months. This garden is going to crank out a lot more cut flower stems, especially with the dahlias, so that's quite exciting too. I'll be able to make more bunches of bouquets to sell, and it will just continue and gather pace from there, and I will keep you all updated. Well, I think that is about it for this week, everyone. I need to head inside and have some lunch and then get this video ready before I pick the kids up from school. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end. I hope you have a really great week ahead. Take care of yourselves and I'll see you soon.